All right. Okay. Doing my glasses check-in. Ooh, that looks really different. Okay. Oh. I think my energy moved or something. Mm-hmm. Why does it always look opposite? Okay, I'm good. Sorry. Little adjustment of energy here. Welcome to the Oracle. The oracles are something that I've been doing probably since, I don't know, thousands of years ago when I was connected with the Oracle of Delphi. Just a little thing that I remembered as a child. So, but anyway, we'll be doing a guided meditation tonight. We'll be talking about whatever really Spirit wants us to talk about that's in the moment. And I can tell from the people that are here with me, and we've been talking before we started the show tonight, and my phone's been blowing up all week. It has been a wild week. It's been a wild and woolly kind of time frame for everybody. So, like I keep encouraging people keep saying, when is this going to stop? The answer is when you fully embrace the idea that everything that is going on has not a lot to do with what's bad or good, right or wrong. It's all about healing duality, and it's all about the drama and the trauma. It's about your conscious choice. How do I want to spend my time every day? What do I want to put my energy into? How can I always choose going into higher ascension? And as we've talked about in the past weeks, we're not learning in a linear way. So the more you're going to try to keep going, okay, maybe if I think I can procrastinate or whatever this thing is, karma's weird, it'll come back around in a wheel. No, the wheel has stopped. Just envision this. It's like you go to the roulette wheel and you keep thinking, okay, lost all my money, but I've got one chip left, or it's a variation on theme for everybody. I'm going to put everything I have on it. Everybody has these extreme parts of ourselves. And you go and the roulette wheel will not turn because it has stopped for the moment. You're not supposed to learn through casting your fate to the wind or not understanding that what this wheel that you've been through, you have to look at it. You can't just go, I want another picture. I swear that's why people get addicted to slot machines. The people that just kept putting money after money, and their hands are green, so the women wear those gloves, and they keep seeing a different thing. And there's nothing, screen coming up with looking for that lucky thing. That's not how you want to do your life anymore. And we've all, in many variations of that story, have done that. We think, well, this didn't work. Maybe if I do this over here, but without healing a core piece. So what's going to happen? You can either choose to ascend, because the wheel is just here. It's your wheel. It's not that it's set in stone as far as, okay, this is your fate. You're destined to just live out what you're seeing here. That's not it. No, it's done. It's finished. But if you keep trying to repeat and ignore what you know are your lessons, or you try to do things in a procrastinating way, it's just what happens when you're stuck somewhere and you keep grinding away. You're going to descend. You're going to go down because the frequencies are wanting you to ascend. And ascension is a choice. How do you ascend? You make a conscious choice. You look at the stuff here and you go, wow, okay, I think I'm going to leave the casino. I don't even think I want to be anywhere near the casino. I think I want to know that my fate, my destiny, my things I want to be, my light, it's within me. It's not based on lady luck. It's not based on if I do these good works or I don't do these things. It's based on who you are as the Lord of your creation, bringing into manifested form all of who you are with the least amount of fear. So you want to start to totally find safety. When you're in a place of fear, you're going to keep going, looking at the wheel. I think it's going to spin around one more time, and maybe I'll have another chance to, you all know what I'm talking about. I have another chance to kind of, that guy I liked or that girl I liked, yeah, I really got it that it's not good, but, oh, can I just see him one more time? Or can I just do this one more time? And I'm not criticizing anybody, trust me. It's not going to happen. And I want to tell you something. If it does, it will drag you down to very dark places. So I'm talking about, and I don't want to sound dogmatic here, but I know what I know when I see what I see, because I've been doing this full-time for 43 years in this life. And I know what I see. I've seen it in my own life. You can't cheat right now. You can't go, we all remember the old New Age stuff, of you'll have a thought and you think, cancel, cancel. If I say it within 3 seconds, then it's not going out into the universe. And I'm not saying be hard on yourself or be in this place of like, oh my God, am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? That's still that fear control place. I'm talking about if everything that you are about is not working anymore, pay attention to that. If it's in your face constantly, certain things that are done, don't put energy into them. It's not a time to invest your time and energy into things that are dead, into things that are going to pull you down into a negative place. You don't want to be there. You need to make conscious choice who you want to be around. You don't be around negative people. Why would you? I found myself even recently, because I eat pretty much a lot of my meals all by myself, which it's not a lonely thing. I'm so tired sometimes of talking to 10, 15 people a day, and that you kind of like, I'll just be quiet and sit with the cats or dogs, whatever. But kind of going, yeah, maybe I'd like to go out tonight. Pick up the phone and go, no, nope, I don't think I really. And it's not anything that's a bad thing about that person or these people or things I used to kind of do, or even restaurants. It's more of a feeling within my own being that it doesn't feel right. Why don't I go over here? Or why does it have to be I'm eating alone or I'm going out with people? Right. And what happens to all of us is we get trapped, even people that have expansive thinking, it's easy for us to get trapped in this either or kind of place, or old choices. And so I would encourage everybody, and again, we are in the eye of the hurricane. We are in the hurricane. You want to be in the eye of the hurricane. You don't want to be out there. The hurricane is here. What is the hurricane? When I was a little girl, I wrote stories about tornadoes and hurricanes, and I said they are God's vacuum cleaner. Because I didn't get a very good grade. And they go, what do you mean a God's vacuum cleaner? I go, well, they're cleaning up the bad dirt. They're cleaning up the things that aren't right. It's how God cleans things. And if you think about it, there's truth to it. And weather is truly the outward manifestation of the group emotional body, except for the stuff that's created by other people. Yeah, by HARP, the HARP Project. Now that's creative weather. There is creative weather. But and a lot of you have experienced this and have come to some things I've done outside of Serpent Mound or different places. We'll be doing a clearing or blessing, and the lightning comes, or the rain comes, or the wind to come up. And it's a good thing. It's like when you're in touch with nature and you have your healing and cleansing, you'll have in your own things that you're doing, you'll feel that wind, you'll feel that energy move, you'll feel things come. What has happened to the earth right now? We are definitely in God's vacuum cleaner. So, how do you stay in the good part of the how do you stay safe in the midst of a you-know-what storm and a hurricane? Let the crap get taken away from you and you stay centered. It's like the old Bible stories that we all learned in Sunday school, when Daniel was thrown into the lion's den with hungry lions. They didn't eat him. Why? It wasn't where he was geographically. It was where he was in himself. When the three men were thrown to the fiery furnace, they didn't get burned up. And if they're allegorical and somewhat true stories about, it's not about other things. It's about where you are in you. And I'm a firm believer in that as far as even earthquakes. I think you could be standing in the epicenter of an earthquake, and if that's your choice at that moment, and it's going to bring you something that, besides transition or trauma, you won't get hurt. And again, I'm not saying to be foolish and euphanoid and go try crazy things, but start to think about this, and not in a selfish, narcissistic way, but that your being, you as a being, are very, very large, and you are part of a huge being that's a universal being. It's not just about this level. It's not just about this earth. It's not just about certain things. We are all part of a bigger whole picture. The more whole you are as a cell in that body, what's going to happen? Each cell of the body that becomes whole and becomes enlightened and actualizes their light and lives their life in a way that is about actualization of unconditional love, actualization of truth. These things can't be things we read in a book and have as a mental thing. It's how you live your life. We see stories of it all, pay it forward. And it's a great thing because it gives the everyday person the concept of, okay, I'll pay for that coffee, or I'll do this, or I'll do that. But if you're not a yuppie and you're not in Starbucks, and I'm not making fun of that, that's a great story, right? It is good to pay. But you got to also, when you're in the street and you see an animal or you see a person and it feels right and there's something that's right in your door to help them. You don't want to be victimized, obviously, but don't immediately be afraid and think, oh, this person is a shyster, and this person's just how they look or whatever. Start to go, and this is how do you know? You'll know because you'll know your own truth. The clearer you become, there's a knowing. There is a blind faith that can sometimes get people in trouble with religious thinking, with dogmatic thinking, it happens in all forms of, when it comes down to the mental. We get very dogmatic. We'll get these thought forms that say, we have to have this sign, or this thing has to be this way. Or where we have this euphanoid, which is the opposite of paranoid, where we're just in this everything's good, everything's fine, it's all happening for a reason. If you don't like what's happening for a reason around you, then I'd say, then you need to sit back and go, okay, I understand this, but I think it's time to understand that I want to make choices, and I want the higher frequency. I want ascension. I don't want to sit and look at the wheel that's stopped. It's an antiquated way of learning. I don't want to be in the space anymore. And you want to choose to ascend up. How do you ascend up? By knowing. It's a knowing faith rather than a dogmatic faith. And how do you know what's right or wrong or true? When you were a little baby, when you were a little child, before people started to program you, you always knew. I'm sure you all remember being little babies, little children, and being very happy and you would express things, or you would be, just as children do, saying very truthful things that would freak adults out because it was the truth. They were already programmed to go, oh my God, that's too intense. I don't want, little children speak up all the time and say very truthful things. So you were born, all of us have this innocent child within us. All of us have this pure part of us that knows right or wrong, that knows a lot of things. And I know you can all relate to this. How many times in your life that you are being shown your life right now, you think, why did I knew what was right, or I knew I didn't want to do this, or I knew I didn't, I should have said something, and you go, why didn't I? Don't beat yourself up. We're in present time. You can heal all that. You can actually, through meditation, you can sit. We don't want to interfere with somebody else's spiritual or psychic space, but if you have mistakes, the word sin means missing the mark. Sin is not some big heavy thing that religions have made it into. The word sin literally means I've missed the mark. So we're in a time where it's like the Zen archer. You're ready, you're going to make the bullseye. All you have to do is pay attention. It's not about looking at the old, the old target thing and saying, oh man, I really missed the mark. It's about knowing that you have in your life right now, your bow is pulled back, and when it lets go, it's going to hit the mark. You're not going to miss the mark. But you want to heal missing the mark. And this is one method. When the shame, the guilt, the fear, I wish I would have done this, I wish I would have done that, all the things we're all experiencing right now, or I call them the aha moments of many. It's not just negative or those kind of darker things. It's all kinds of stuff. When you start to feel and know and see the pieces of your life in this one place, if something really activates you, don't run away from it. If there's a haunting memory, if there's a haunting thing from your past that you just don't know how to heal, this is what you do. You go into a quiet space. It can be wherever you want it to be. And if it's with a person, you don't have a right to interfere with that person's highest good or free will. So you say, in accordance with my free will and this person's free will, this could be an old relationship, it could be a parent, it could be anything, an old boss, it could be anything that's activating you, and that you are feeling this really like, ooh, I want to sand, but I got this big sandbag, and my balloon's not going higher because I got this albatross around my neck that's tied up in a memory. Remember, we're in present time. You sit, you ask permission, you don't judge anything you're feeling or saying. You give yourself a really big permission to be present, to be free, to be in your emotional body, all of your bodies. And if you say negative things out loud, if you think negative things, don't let the lower brain come in and go, oh, that's a bad thought. Oh, that's a good thought. Then you're not moving your stuff. You want to just yell, scream, talk, whatever, say good things. But I mean, it's not about good or bad. It's about go back into what's pushing your button. Where did you get stuck? Where did you get stuck with that individual? What was the pattern? When you start to chip away, and this is the thing too, we're having to see ourselves no longer as certain roles or patterns, and we don't want to see people that way because we'll stay stuck with them. If you think about yourself as a child and somebody's your mother, then there's a limitation of negative and positive expectations. Same thing with boss or any type of role that we have in our minds about things. So when you're visualizing and connecting with these people or persons or whatever, try to just see them like a little child, a little baby. Think about them by their name. Try to take away all those facades that keep you from really going into the authentic connecting with yourself, with this process, and with them. And you all know what I'm talking about. You'll think somebody will come to your mind, and you'll immediately, instead of like just being in some type of present time, you'll have a negative thing will come to you, or a painful thing will come to you, and the lower mind will go, oh, I don't even want to look at that. I don't want to feel it. No, you want to heal it. You don't want any wounded places. And I guarantee you this is what's going to happen. The more you do this, you'll reach a point halfway through, maybe even in the first couple of minutes of it, where you go, whoa, I don't think it's even really about this person. So, like I'm always talking about, follow the money, follow the emotion. many things that we have experienced in this life and even recent lives as these patterns, it's not really about that person or that job or that marriage or that divorce or that's the tip of the iceberg. And so you want to follow, where does this come from? Where is this fragmentation? Where is this thing within me that is keeping me in suffering and pain, in a place where I feel unhealed or I feel hopeless, whatever it's making you feel. I guarantee you, if you take time, even if it's a few minutes every day, to do these things, you will start to see a change. The biggest thing that happens, and I get reports all the time from people, and I've had it verified in my own life, some of the most difficult people that I really thought, they're so difficult, I don't even want to do this. I don't even want to sit here and do this because, and I thought, whoa, that's really intense. Ooh, then you better really sit there, because if you're feeling that, you could just really better go down into this. And the next time I would run into that person, and sometimes it would be very seemingly magical, but as we know, there's no 6 degrees of separation anymore. Many times through the years, I've had the experience of doing this processing, and within a day, a week, and sometimes people I have not even seen in years, I will run into them. And I see them, they see me, and all of a sudden, it's on some level, whether they consciously know that was happening, it was happening. Because spirit, that's the way it works. When you clear, it all gets closer. When you don't, it all stays out here. And you don't want things to be staying out here. You want to know that on one level, and it's totally true, everything in the outer world is a mirror reflecting back to you about yourself. And when we were learning through that karmic state, that's really all karma was. Self meeting self, meeting self, meeting self, meeting self. Variations of all kinds of things. You want to be in a place of a healed, whole self. Another step to doing that is, if you find yourself talking about something and it sounds like really boring, or maybe something you used to find really interesting to talk about yourself, but also you might hear yourself you're just moving your mouth and you're telling somebody something about your life or your story, and you're going to find yourself all of a sudden going, I don't want to put energy there anymore. You may find yourself, and it's happening, I'm having so many people in for readings, they're having this experience, they're going, you know what, I feel embarrassed, but I'll be talking or I'll meet new people, and they want to know about my life, and I'll start to say something, and I'll go, no, I don't want to do that. That's not me anymore. Because we're not our stories, and we're not the old stories. We are the pure, innocent beings of light, and each of us are unique expressions of our Creator. We are Elohim. In our image, we made them male and female. We are yin and yang. We are unique expressions of Creator's love for us. And we are here on this earth at this time, not to suffer, not to feel guilty, not to be trapped and have no joy. We are here to have happiness, fulfillment, prosperity. We're here to bring all of who we are as individuals into an expressed place that ignites this whole body. So think about it like that. For all cells of the body, this huge body, and some people spring from the creative, some people spring from the mental. I mean, everybody has their path and their specialties. And that's one of the saddest things too, is people will try to, for whatever reason, maybe your father or mother wanted you to do this or become that, or we get these ideas in our head, I can't make money if I'm doing that or this, or people that maybe get stuck, and this is going to sound really like a criticism, but it happens, and you all know people like this, that people that are a lot more creative or something than maybe they think they are, and they're not, and they say I'm a creative person, but they don't really do a lot with it, or they just stay stuck, or maybe use it as an excuse to not work, or not. All these kind of imbalances are not working for anybody anymore. So, the most common one I'm getting in are people that years ago, and again, they're not bad people, they're not negative people, they actually had horrible accidents. Well, they're getting, well, especially when they come and do stuff like this, and we do hands-on healing, they get healed. So now they're going, I have this really huge dilemma. I'm on disability, but I don't think I'm disabled anymore. And then they start thinking about, and this is actually true, I've had 3 or 4 of these cases like in the last year. Then they start thinking, wow, when I was in limited thinking, and I really was devastated because I was in a lot of pain, I trapped myself into, I need disability. I need help. I need somebody else to take care of me. But as they, and of course, you know, if you're on that, you can't make other money, right? Yeah, there you go. And so as people start to, the people I know that are working through these things, as they're healing, as they're growing, as they're changing, they're going, instead of going, rats, I won't be able to get this, I'm going to have to hide, or, you know, there's nowhere to run or hide anymore anyway. They're going, I can make a lot more money than when I'm getting in disability, and I feel good now. So you're going to see a lot of miraculous things like this with people, where people, and again, it's not, these aren't people that were trying to scam a system. They're people that are going, wow, I get it. What happens oftentimes with disabilities, this is a reflection for those of you out there that have fibromyalgia, or have had accidents, or have had things that happen, and it puts you into a frozen place. It's exactly like what we're talking about in general. Many people that encounter a fall, or encounter a car accident, or encounter something very jarring to the body when they're older, what it does, it activates, again, any other times that you had accidents, falls, things you don't even remember from when you were, or being in the womb, or being in your birth process. Maybe you had a trauma that you didn't even know, you were pulled out by the forceps, or maybe you were abused, or maybe you were molested, or maybe you had very intense things that happened to you. But to survive those things, you fragment it, you disassociate it. So what happens is people go along in the linear growing up thing, and all of a sudden they're at work, they have an accident. And sometimes it's not even, that's where it gets really tricky with a disability. People can severely hurt themselves through what looks like a very simple thing. My theory is about fibromyalgia especially, is that people get to a certain point, they trip, they fall, they have a car accident, all of a sudden it's pain city, and it's moving around your body. And so you go to a doctor, and they go, well, I thought you said this shoulder hurt. Well, today my knee hurts. You know, and then they, especially 20, 30 years ago, they would tell, especially women, you're crazy. You know, and they still want to say, no, men get fibromyalgia, trust me. It's all these old mentalities of crazy, crazy. No, you're not crazy. The last stop's the body. So when whatever the accident is, and there's no such thing as an accident, so when you collide in this level, and you've got enough pain of the mental, the spiritual, the physical, emotional level going on, and something within you goes, I don't think I can do this anymore, you hit a wall with something, you will pull it to yourself, and all of a sudden you're feeling lots of pain. So what do the doctors do to people?
Medicate.
No, yeah, over-medicate people. Oh, I think you should have, well, I know several people that if you have enough whatever, if you have fibromyalgia, they will actually give you methadone. Wonderful. If you have, and again, there's nothing wrong. This is the sad thing. Opiates are there for a reason. There are people that have horrible pain, and there are people that should have pain. I'm not against those kind of things at all. But what happened, and again, immediately, instead of going, okay, wait a minute, okay, there's an accident, something's happened, they immediately, instead of allowing people to really feel and go back to the source of where is the real pain that's radiating through my body coming from, They immediately medicate you. And the worst thing they do too, luckily in the 70s, I found the cranial sacral work, going to people that did cranial sacral work. And you do that, but they don't reward you for that. They want you to go to physical therapy or chiropractors that will jerk you around. They don't want you to get back into that, let's get that peaceful place. Let's get the body aligned. Gee, what a concept, right? No. Or let's just, because there's too much money that's made from, ooh, let's do this physical therapy. You all know what I'm talking about. If people, and I'm going to tell you this in your own life right now, even if you, every day, if you have the simplest paper cut, and they hurt like heck, or you get a little tiny, something, and you know what I'm talking, it feels like so painful, sit with that pain for a minute. I mean, don't be a masochist, but sit with yourself and go, whoa, where is this pain taking me? And I know you all have experienced this. When you are in a certain place of consciousness, you don't notice certain pain. It's amazing to me how sometimes you can just feel overwhelmed and tired, and all of a sudden you have this almost like migraine coming on. You have this fatigue you can't even describe to somebody, and something positive will happen. Somebody will call you, or you immediately, it's gone. Amazing. Why is that? We have mind over matter. The body is the last stop. But we've been so conditioned to control the body and to control pain and to control everything. And control and fear are the same thing. So when there's control involved, you're not going to heal. You've got to go into the unconditional love. And the reason I'm going into all this is that it's what's happening right now. Pay attention to what is painful. And it's not going to be hard, because I'm sure all of you have been feeling like somebody has voodooed all of you and has got pins going in. I know I have. Had very interesting things happening. Where you go, wow, if I didn't have somebody here seeing this, that nobody would believe these things are happening. So, again, when that's going on, instead of going, whoa, go, okay, let me feel what this victimization or this, whatever it's making you feel. If it's making you feel, whatever is being activated, take the moment to go into that feeling instead of going to eat a quart of ice cream or cook a bunch of spaghetti or, whatever people do. People do all kinds of things to deal with or not deal with what's going on. That void in you, in Buddhism, they talk about there's a good void. Okay, when we talk about void, there's a place you want to be in yourself that's a positive void. What's happened in so much of the Western world, and there's an emptiness, there's a good emptiness, right? When you clear and clear and clear, and there's an emptiness, but it's not an emptiness of wanting something to be in there. It's because you've cleared the clutter. You've cleared the pain. You've cleared the attachments. You've cleared the things that were making you be in a reactive place or stay stuck. What has happened to most of us is that we understand things, we heal things, we work on ourselves, we do certain things, but there's still something. If it's not healed from within, we will try to fill that void. We will, that codependence, and it comes in so many tricky forms. It comes in so many tricky forms, and before you know it, it's your. You think, okay, I'm going to do this, and within 5 minutes, that's not the thing. Go. A long time ago, I learned a way to, and I do psychic shopping, even as, I'm not a big shopper. I'm not one of those, I don't like to graze and go through, and if I think of something, I'll think, oh, there's something in there I need, and I'll just find it. But we've all gone through those periods of therapy shopping. And this is what I do if I ever feel that need. And I really think it comes from being a little kid, because we got one pair of shoes at a time. I grew up out in the country. Our mother, we made our clothes, believe it or not. And you got into big time if you could order things from Sears and Roebuck. Oh my God. And I was like, who are these people? I was like this little girl going, I want to be in Hollywood, New York, somewhere. I landed in this bee farm, okay? This is not right. Somebody really, the stork dropped me in the wrong place. So I know this is where some of mine comes from. You know, you could have one, every Saturday night we had Pepsi in 1 week. Oh yeah. And there's good things about that now. You look back, but you know, hey, like pretty spare. I go to the dollar store. Hey, that dollar store is fun. Everything's $1. And there's some wild stuff in there. There's some, and try it sometime. Don't go to the expensive place. I'm serious. And it's really funny. I mean, I probably haven't been in a long time, but it is an interesting place to go. And half the time you'll put stuff in your car and you go, I don't really want that anymore. Okay, put it back. But it's all these kind of things. Because again, when we deny ourselves, what does the lower mind want to do? Anytime you tell a child, don't do this, that's what they want to do. We're wired that way. That's why when children reach the age of 2, they're, no. It's just the way it is. So start to frame things to yourself, to others. Try to frame things, saying things in a positive. Because when you're going to tell yourself, don't do this, you are going to want to do it. Anything you're going to tell yourself that's like this taboo or this is the first thing you're going to do. So, same thing. If I start to get activated by something, instead of letting it go into a really dark, deep place, this is a newer thing. I don't know why. This last year, I have wanted, and I've never been a big ice cream person. I wanted to eat ice cream. Anybody else? I mean, not like the volumes, but I've craved having, like, I get organic ice cream. But what I've done, I just take a couple bites and taste good, and that's it. And what you want to do, it's the same thing. But if you suppress it and you go, I'm not going to eat it, I'm not going to eat you see people that chain their refrigerators. Oh, you know what's going to happen. The minute the camera's up, they're going to take a sledgehammer to that thing. They're going to be eating everything in there. Because that's the lower nature. If we feel we're denied, we want to fill that void from the outside. So it's the same thing. Really start paying attention to what pushes your buttons, but don't do it in a way where that other voice comes in and criticizes, right? We all know that voice. Ooh, why are you doing, because it keeps you from experiencing and healing whatever it is that is being activated. So, as we all know, it's not going to change. What's going on in the universe, not just the earth, what's going on in the vast universe is a magnificent thing called harmony and balance and light. The whole universe is being filled with light. And what happens when light floods into the hidden, darkest places, things are exposed. So a lot of what you're seeing, a lot of what you're feeling, they've always been there, and you've known some of them, but now you see them. And so that's that freaky thing, because we've all been taught to go into denial or fragment or find ways not to talk about the elephant in the room, right? And so that's what's going on. So whatever your stuff is, know that what's been hidden will no longer be hidden, and there's more and more and more and more and more and more and more exposure. And the more you can understand that and know that it's not bad, even though it might feel bad, because we've all invested energy, not just as individuals, but as a group consciousness, to hide. That's what the age of Pisces was about, the fish swimming in opposite directions. Learning through that collective unconscious mind, subconscious mind. Learning to just stay in that pool of archetypes. The age of Aquarius is you as an individuated self, is what Jung called it, coming up out of that group consciousness into your own unique expression of light and God that you are. And it's been a difficult process because you've emerged and you feel really naked. You feel really like, whoa, or you feel really, okay, I'm emerged, but now what? Where are the other people? What are they doing? Shouldn't they be doing what they're doing? Or you know, all this stuff. Or realizing that maybe you've spent so much energy and time doing something that maybe you can't change it. That's the false thinking. Do not let limited thinking stop you. You are not too old. You're not too young. You're not too damaged. You're not too anything to be right here, right now, and transmute and transform and ascend. And I mean ascend without dying. I mean ascension into who you are, free from the suffering, free from the pains, the aches, learning through those things. That's not who you are anymore. So it's time to clear it. And again, it has not been the most fun way to do it, but I guarantee you, if you keep pushing through it, you are going to be healed. And that becomes scary too, because I always give this example, but it happened very early in my work. I was probably in my late 20s. I'll never forget this as long as I live. MS is another one. Last stops the body. Lots of people that have MS, not everybody. A lot of people that are kind of, they have a lot of bitterness or resentment, and you can really control people, especially you get down to be in a wheelchair, right? People have to help you. They have to. So I'll never forget it. Never forget it. Somebody brought this woman in, and I was doing hands-on healing, and I was running energy in her, and luckily we had a tape going. And she was just like, she'd been wheelchair bound probably for, oh my gosh, years. In the process of running the energy, I could feel, it was, I can't even describe it in words, but it was like an implosion, explosion. I felt electricity. It was almost like somebody flipping a switch, and she awakened. I mean, and I could feel movement in her energy, in her limbs and different things. And in a very loud voice that none of us could convince her that she had actually said this till we played the tape. She said, "Get away from me. I do not want to be healed." And she had no idea that she said that. So at a very deep, deep, deep core part of her being, that was her truth. Once she heard the tape, she was, and what was very interesting, her family, this is the best part, her family was there. And she was one of these people, and she, and again, it's just the way it was, but she was kind of like Queen Bee, and she was kind of like, and it was, and they were, a couple of the family members were going, "I knew it." Or, people were going, "All right, I get this now." And it was really interesting. And then again, once she heard the tape, and she kept coming back, she got better. She wasn't running marathons because she was probably in her, but she'd had it for years, probably in her late 50s. But guess what? She was walking. And her life changed. And the doctors go, "What happened?" And she had done very deep work. It wasn't just me. It's not me. It's energy that works through me, can work through any of you, can be healers. We all have specialties for things. But when that light moves through and it goes in, and it's the right moment to ignite something, miracles happen. That's how they happen. So then she had to, of course, do her own inner work of hearing that voice on the tape that she could not even identify in her lower mind or believe she'd said until she heard it over and over again. It brought her to her point of wanting to be healed, of knowing that is not right. That's kind of what she said. That is not right. It was like, and it was a big thing for a person like that to say, because, yeah. And we all have things like that. We don't even realize how many ways we have disempowered ourselves, or that we thought we were in control, or thought we were maybe taking an easy way out, and it's not easy. You don't want to be sitting in a wheelchair. You don't want to be crippled in many ways. You don't want to have your life in this little box that is defining you. That's not working anymore. And again, that's the big image that Spirit keeps showing me, is that we've all been for the last 2 or 3 years, just like little kids when you play hide and go seek, and either they're standing by a narrow pole and you can see them and they think they're hidden, or it's like Apache, my Malamute. He's like over 100 pounds, and you can never get a northern breed into a crate, nor I'd ever try to put him in one, but he will crate himself. But it's hilarious. He puts his head under things and has his big ass body sticking out. He thinks you can't see. It's hilarious. He's got his head under there, and it's what's happening. It's totally what's happening. Does anybody have a question or anything you want to ask or talk about? Because I know this is activating a lot of stuff. Yes.
When you're talking about the forgiveness of others, or letting that go, the hurt, the anger, and when it's a person that's done more to you than just maybe irritate you or hurt your feelings.
Oh, those people?
I mean, there's, I don't know if all of us have, I call them the dark Vader of our life.
Oh, yeah. We've all got some dark Vaders.
Just been
relentless, like trying to destroy you.
A demonic spirit almost.
Yes.
If not really having one.
Yes.
How do we go in there and cleanse and heal the dark Vader or dark Vaders in our life?
By going into the darkest place of yourself, by going into the shadow self of yourself.
And you can get rid of those?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And again, it doesn't mean that you are dark or like that darkness. It often can mean somewhere still inside of you, you think you need to be controlled, or that you are a bad person, or that what they are doing to you is something you deserve.
So you can still get forgiveness from someone who has a demonic spirit?
Yes.
Or just pure darkness?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's so formidable sometimes that you don't think you can.
Right.
And this is the way I look at it, because I'll go into a story because it ties into this recent thing that just happened to me once again. And you start to not take it personally, but this is another level of not taking it personally. You start to know that the person that maybe you've over-empowered, they're just a minion. They're just a puppet. They're not that. It's not about that person. It's about dark forces, and they can jump in willing places. And that's where we can get hung up, is we think, oh, it's this person, it's this one person, or it's this group of people. No. So get that idea out of your head. Know that dark forces exist. There's a time coming when all will be healed, but when people are open vessels, they can channel that light, that darkness. Yep.
Is it possible that, I'll speak from my experience, that sometimes in my life these dark Vaders aren't really dark Vaders at all?
Right.
They could be, someone in my life that, because of my insecurities and my fear and the salt that keeps being poured on my wound repeatedly, I demonize them to be this powerful entity.
Yes.
Nothing but
that's the one.
A joke.
Yep.
Because I've noticed for me, when I identify with that and I realize I'm giving this person way too much power,
Exactly.
they're not paying rent to live in my head, and they're in my head all day long.
Right.
That's insane.
They're squatters. You gotta kick those squatters out. Get those.
Pay rent or get out.
Exactly, and it's true. And what I've seen lately is they're paper tigers. It's kind of like a paper tiger, but it's so easy to get engaged in, because we've all been persecuted, we've all had things happen to us, that it's easy to get trapped in exactly. And then they've moved in and capture you.
So you feel like if you defend yourself, tell your side of the story.
Of course, right.
You know,
And that's how passive aggressive energy is, and that's how narcissistic energy is. They don't tell you anything except that what you're thinking or feeling, or you know what I'm saying. They won't give you. They withhold. They control through withholding. They control with not. If you really look at people that are really expert narcissistic, true narcissism, and people that are borderline personalities, and people that are passive aggressive and master manipulators, they don't give anything. They send out seductive energy of whatever level. They can radiate out things to magnetic energy to pull you in, and you get in there and you realize it's not what you thought. You're trapped. And it's always, you're the person that's wrong. They know everything. It's very difficult stuff. And it's an awakening that a lot of people are having right now, is really waking up out of toxic relationships. And then you go, how did I get here? How did I get into this? How did I invest myself in this? It was familiar. And so that's the other thing, is the demonization, and it's so easy to do, because you get, again, a lot of what we're activated by is not about here and now. It's about many other lifetimes, many other places and times. I'll give you a very good example of something that's happened to me for the umpteenth millionth time, and I know for many facts, I've worked on this pattern for eons, of getting right to a certain point, and then whatever it was, the level of success or happiness or fame, it's taken away. And it's ancient. It's an archetype. It's something I've dealt with over and over in many lifetimes. This particular lifetime, and I almost told the story last week because my fellow classmate, Larry, was here from Sarasota, because I'm bringing him in because he ties into the story. From the time, my mother was a school teacher, but from the time, for some reason, I just activated the heck out of school teachers. And if you remember, this is back in the 50s. I had these really mean teachers. I brought out the most mean things to them. So I told you all about, not wanting to color in the lines, and so they made me sit in the back of the class and thought I was retarded or something, and I'd get F's in art because I couldn't make their art the way they wanted. I could have cared less. Second grade, it's in my report card, daydreams in class, they put me in the hall, and it was so relieved. It was like, God, I'll just be in the hall. I reached third grade. When we moved in the country, a bunch of other things happened. I hit the fourth grade. Here we go. It's in Connersville. This is, when you hear this story, it will help you understand something about your own lives. So I'm going to share it. And my own life about something that just happened a few days ago. So, in the fourth grade, my mother taught at the same school she taught the second grade. I hit the fourth grade, and I'd heard about this person, that she was really intense, and I thought, and I don't know what, to the day my mother was still talking, she felt so bad about this story, but anyway. So this woman, she thought she ran the school, and she looked like a big Brunhilde. She was like humongous, and had gray braids, anything like you think of like of in the past of like dark. And she didn't have children. She's married. She didn't have children. And her theory was nobody knew anything. So from the first day of school, she told you, you will never go out to recess until you do the things the way I teach them. We're not going to do what's in the book. Really? This wouldn't happen today, right? Well, let's just say, it's needless to say, I never saw one day. And it was very intense mathematical stuff, and you had to do, it was like, now it would not be allowed. There's no way nobody would allow anybody to treat children like this, right? In the fourth grade, I was the youngest person in class because I started when I was 5. So the very first day of school, she grabs me, she marches me down to my mom's room, and she looks at my mother, and she looks at me, and she says, "That's not your daughter, that's not your mother." And when people are so outrageous, you're shocked. You just kind of go, whoa, wait a minute, what do you mean? You're not allowed to ever talk to your mother, acknowledge her, and you're not. Here, my mother's a teacher. Hello. Trust me, a lot smarter and a lot better evolved teacher who wrote all kinds of stuff than this woman. And so we both were like, I just remember being like stunned. And I remember being even more stunned that my mother didn't tell her to kiss off or, like, what the heck? Wait a minute, something's wrong here. Why is this evil person that I'm about ready to be captured and never see the light of day until I do what she wants you to do? It's terrifying. Okay. So I escaped through creative expression. So school starts. And my mom, I started getting into the fact that, okay, if we can't buy clothes, I better get into learning how to make some clothes. So we would make, holiday, for every little holiday, I would make little special clothes, whatever. So we're getting near Christmas time. And it was one of the areas, and I think it had to be, because it was under the rulership of another teacher, also not just her. They were having a Christmas play, and they wanted people to help write a Christmas play. Well, hey, that's right up my alley. So I'm writing. I was a really good writer. I was always telling stories, writing. Did great math, forget about it. Oh my God, that's why I never saw the light of day. But creative and writing, that was me. So I'm writing all this stuff and came up with this real clever, I've got to find this because it was very clever, and worked with other kids, and we came up with names, and it was like another version of Christmas story stuff. And so it's about a week before the play, maybe even 3 or 4 days before the play, and I was so excited, because I had one of the leads in the play, of course. Write myself in the play, and I forgot my lunch money. Oh, so I go down the hall to my mother's class. And some little evil minion child told the big Darth Vader woman, Marilene went down the hall and saw her mom. She's not supposed to. Or whatever, yeah. Yeah. So I get called in. My mother gets called in like she's 5 years old. I told you, you are never, and I go, I was hungry. I forgot my lunch money, blah, blah, blah. It didn't matter. Okay, and I'll never forget this as long as I live. And I may or may not say on the air, but I'll tell you in private how I dealt with this later as an adult. Because it's a pretty funny story. I was just shocked. She goes, I know. You're not going to be in the play anymore. You're not going to be the lead in the play anymore. You're going to be the reindeer hooves. You're going to be the sound effects under the stage. Yeah. Evil. Who does that to a child? And I remember being so devastated that, and again, what was more devastating was that nobody stopped this person. It's like, who in their right mind, not only just my mother, but other people, who is allowing this evil person to run this school? Who is allowing them to talk to people like that? And I remember, night of the play, blah, 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 I am under the stage. I think she even took my name off, like, who wrote it or something. Evil. She was like pure Satan, or channeling pure Satan energy. But I remember, and it put me into, and again, I've had past lives of persecution, so it was like, oh, okay. And I remember just feeling this. I went through, trust me, years of therapy about this when I was an adult, because it was so, it stops you in your tracks, right? So the next year, I had a teacher. It wasn't so bad. The 6th grade, I had another teacher. I couldn't do math. I could. I could give the answer, but I couldn't tell how I got it. So she made me stand in a trash can in a corner. I tell you, people, this is all true. It's all true. And you look back on this stuff and you're going, what are you talking about? And it happened in the 7th grade. I had lots and lots of stuff, the same kind of stories. But how it relates to now, if I could tell you story after story after story as an adult of movies I was in, but you don't see them because I got cut out of them. Or people that would show up for shoots that we were doing, because one of my degrees is in theater, and their camera broke down, or they didn't. I can tell you. I mean, it's repeated to the point where it's absurd, to the